Well, welcome back to Radio Entrepreneurs. My name again is Jeffrey Davis. I am the host of Radio Entrepreneurs. And thanks in no small part to my next guest who encouraged me to go online with the show many years ago. And also I am chairman and CEO of MAGE LLC, management consulting firm, working with leaders during times of transition leadership. That's a big, busy time right now. Our next guest, it's the Marc Z Report. It must be that time of week. Welcome back, Marc. What's going on in the staffing legal world right now? Because, boy, it's been a busy time.
Thanks, Jeff. Well, first of all, it's great to be on your show. I didn't have to nudge you. You were a natural, and it's glad to see you're off sailing. I mean, you have, I think, like over a million followers now. I mean, it's really taken off, and you just have a lot to say. Your guests are great, and just a lot of terrific content. So thank you for having me on the show.
Marc, you underestimate yourself. You're a natural nudge. So why don't you nudge our listeners? Because
all right, so,
even though we're all going back to work, Massachusetts is still ranked in the top of the country for people being laid off, not back to work yet. And I know the whole legal profession too, and professional services, we're in a big pivot right now.
Right. So the key points for this week, as you know, Marc Z's 3 key points. The first thing is 50-50. Right now, the state is now going to the next step to allow office buildings and offices to have 50% staff there. But what's interesting is you can build it, they may not come right away. And that's what's happening. Law firms are letting their attorneys know, paralegals, and even their staff, if you're not ready to come back, if you've been productive, we're fine for you to stay home. A lot of law firms are keep pushing the weeks out before people have to come. I was talking to a few partners this morning, and their firms have said, look, if it's working for you, clients aren't complaining, you're getting your work done, you're efficient, you feel more comfortable, your travel time is down, you're making the proper connections, you're hitting the billables, stay working from home. However, in the support staff range, a lot of firms want their support staff back because they've been basically paying people not to work for the last several months. And so they're trying to bring back some key people. It'll be interesting about support staff because some support staff were furloughed, which is another word for being laid off, but it's laid off with the idea of bringing you back. And some of those employees are not being furloughed anymore. Some were laid off right away, some were furloughed, then laid off. So the first thing is we have to see where things are going downtown. We are up to 50% in terms of Governor Baker's in alignment in terms of different metrics to make that sustainable, as opposed to other areas of the country where the COVID cases are growing because a lot of the states opened up too quickly. The economists are saying that's because you opened up too quickly, states. Other people are pushing back and saying, well, it was the testing, we're just doing more testing now. But that's where we'll be on that. I also wanted to talk about what's gained a lot since even we talked last week, Jeff, is diversity hiring. Companies are organizing committees. Organizations are now focused. The business community, particularly the legal community, was always very encouraging to have a diversity candidate if you had somebody, but it was like, if you have X, Y, Z, and W, everything we're looking for, and they happen to be diversity, that's great. What we're seeing now is, if you have a diversity candidate, let me know their background, and maybe we can work around some areas that they're deficient. So firms are really having a second look, professional services companies, having a second look at candidates to see what they can do to overcome some areas that they're deficient, to have some long-term employees to diversify their staff more. And what they're doing is they're forming, almost every firm is forming diversity committees now, which were never in place. Organizations are forming diversity groups. And companies and law firms are reaching out to the minority community to have them speak to groups to let them know where there is racial bias. Minority bookstores are being overwhelmed with racism book requests to really have the business community educate themselves. And a lot of companies and law firms are actually buying a lot of books for their executives and their employees so they're better tuned in.
Well, that's quite a mouthful for just a few minutes, Mark, and it's a big deal. And I do think every firm I'm talking to is looking to get back to work, who's going to work, and what's the rotation, and how are we going to keep people safe, and how do we embrace a better diversity model. And I think that you've covered those 3 points. That's what we want from you every week. And we look forward to these segments from the superstar Marc Z for Marc Z Legal Staffing. Mark, if somebody wants to get hold of you and talk to you and find out more about these things, how do they contact you?
Thank you, Jeff. It's marczlegal.com, marczlegal, L-E-G-A-L.com, and 617-320-4696.
That's great, Mark. And you look healthy. I want you to stay healthy. Remind everybody this is the one and only Marc Z, and he'll be back next week on Radio Entrepreneurs.